Here at Build Life Overland, I like to build a lot of my overlanding equipment in rigs, like this little camper. And I know that's not for everyone. Sometimes you just like to buy the equipment, or it's something that you can't make. There's a lot of really awesome equipment available out there, especially now with the internet and the popularity of overlanding. Not like there was, 35 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Anyway, so I want to take a look at some of it. Let's take a look at what it costs and decide, is it necessary or is it even worth it? Now I know balling on a budget is not exactly a new video idea, but I think it's important to stress you don't have to spend your life savings just to go camping. I had a friend and he had come back to the United States. His family moved back here from Rwanda, Africa. And I remember they had one car with their family and his dad rode a bike to work every day. I had saved up a lot of money. I always worked my entire life since I was, 9 or 10. I had a job. And I saved up my money and I bought this Wheeler mountain bike. It was about $1,200. And I rode it everywhere. And so him and I kind of, my friend's dad and I talked about mountain biking, and I said, you ought to get a better bike. You get to work much faster, it'd be easier, really like that. And he said, well, how much that bike you have cost? He says, $1,200. I was super proud. I'd saved up my money and I bought it. And he said, well, if I had an extra $1,200, my family would have another car and I would be driving to work. And he said, but I'll say this, he said, my Huffy, he said, I really enjoy the exercise and being outdoors, and with this bike, it gives me a better workout than riding yours would. Okay, so I've kind of split this up into a few different categories, like eating, sleeping, drinking. I'm trying to keep it organized, but I tend to be a little scatterbrained. So the first invention I saw is called the rock pot. And when I first saw it, I thought this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I use a slow cooker at my house, a crock pot, fairly often. We put some meat in there, you go out and do all your stuff all day, you come home and it's all done, stews, whatever it is. We like to do chuck roast in there, make Italian beef. Pretty awesome. This got like looks like a big grinder wheel, like a stone that you put in your campfire and you heat it up. And then you can put it underneath the pot, like in the body of the unit, and you put the lid on it and you've got a slow cooker. So I thought, man, we use it all the time, why not take it camping? Well, it's $265, and that's on sale from $320. It's a lot of money. Now, like I say, it's a really cool invention, and I can't even tell you that I won't own one day. Maybe not right now. The second thing that I found is a Jetboil Genesis 2. Let me make sure I got that right. I'm looking at notes on my phone here. It's the Jetboil Genesis 2 Base Camp. It's $400. Also really cool, and anyone who's used one before would tell you that Jetboil stuff, the fit and finish, the performance are top notch. But man, for $400, I can legit buy a 4-burner range with an oven under it for one of my rental properties, brand new. You might have to find it on sale for $400. That's an entire unit like that. So for this little stove with a pan on it, seems like a lot of money. How about a Nomad grill? I saw this and I was like, these things are awesome. They come in this cool case. It looks like a briefcase. I imagine it like having a handcuff to someone's hand. Well, it costs $600, so that might be what you need to do to be sure no one takes it from you. It's a lot of money to barbecue some burgers and hot dogs. How about a fridge? I own 2 Domestics. One is a single zone, fridge or freezer. The other's a dual zone, does both fridge and freezer. and it's pretty awesome. You know, we put it in the back of our car. My wife runs around with it in her Suburban, so in the summer when she's picking up some groceries and is going to be out for a while, just stick them all in there. It's pretty useful outside of, you know, the overlanding world. I have a Jackery 500 unit. I also have some solar panels, and like many of you, I like to plug that Jackery into my truck while I'm driving, plug the fridge into it on 12 volt. That way the truck is charging it. And when we get to our destination, I put out the solar panels. It's awesome. So the fridge and the Jackery, the dual zone, fridge, Jackery, and solar panels was $1,970. You can buy a cooler pretty cheap. So what's a girl to do? You gotta eat, right? So recently, I went on a camping trip. We went four-wheeling. Took out the side-by-sides in our enclosed trailers. Probably some of you have watched my videos where I'm remodeling it or building it out into a camper. I've got one friend that I don't know if he really likes to cook or just winds up doing it a lot. Dave, he cooks a lot of our food when we're there, so we all give him a couple bucks, bring some things to throw on his grill, but he brings a full-size barbecue grill and wheels it out of his 26-foot enclosed trailer. It's really nice, and we're you know, really appreciative that he'll do that. But I got there hours, almost an entire day before they did, and I was getting hungry. I had nothing to cook on. So I was bringing the firewood. I lit a little fire on the ground, roasted some hot dogs, and I had a lunch. I didn't need any cooking apparatus, and it was a hot lunch. You know, I wasn't drinking a protein shake for lunch. It did pretty good. $0. There's even lots of options, you know, like Mountain House meals, some of these dehydrated stuff, or just, you know, fruits, vegetables, beef jerky, granola bars, a ton of stuff that not only you don't have to cook, you don't even have to refrigerate it. I'm a big fan of that. If you've been watching some of these videos, some of the earlier ones I did, you could see I have lost 145 pounds. One of the things I used to lose a lot of weight is intermittent fasting, and it has, I don't know, back and forth, whatever. A lot of benefits aside from weight loss, autophagy, blah, 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 blah. One of the trips I went on, I did a 72-hour fast, mostly to see if I could do it. And when I'm here at home to do something like that with my family, I've got a wife and I've got 3 kids, none of whom have a weight problem, walking around eating pizza, it makes it a little hard to stay on the program, especially around that, you know, 60-hour mark where you're ready to eat the hind end out of a horse. So I went camping and I did a 72-hour fast while I did it. Man, that trip was easy to pack for. Let's look at sleeping. You know, I came across Facebook's, right? It's really good to show you all these things, and I guess the internet in general, Google, Amazon, whatever, things you might like. And I found this, the brand is called Flated, and it's an air mattress for the back of your pickup that's got a couple runners down it, kind of hold it up above your wheel wells. And I thought, man, that's a cool idea. I used to have one that sat down in the wheel well and had kind of a cutout for it. I used it one time and then the mice got into it, peed in it, chewed a hole in it. I wound up throwing the thing out. Spent a lot of money on it. Well, these Flated ones, let me again consult my notes here, $650. Now, good bed's very important, but how about a Walmart air mattress? Here's one for $15.88. Now, if that winds up popping, getting chewed, whatever, you go too close to the campfire, if you decide to sleep outside, no harm, no foul. Toss the thing in the trash, move on. You can buy a lot of $16 air mattresses for what one of those in your truck costs. Now, I will say the one in the truck looked more like a whitewater raft. It looked pretty durable. So I don't know if mice can chew a hole through anything, but maybe that's not a problem you have. We've since corrected it with a couple of barn cats. Back to the 90s, I worked for this guy guiding these rock climbing and whitewater rafting trips. We did some dog sled trips, things like that. And, you know, we were tough, and we were out for months at a time taking groups of kids on these trips. And so we'd set up all these huge canvas, like Coleman tents with all the poles and everything. It would take a long time. So most of us guides, because there might be 4 or 5 of us on a group, you know, we might have 100 high school kids that we were taking rock climbing. and they would all sleep in the tents. So we would just sleep on a picnic table, like a $6 tarp covering us over. Now that ship has sailed. I like a few more creature comforts these days. My camper is a good example of that. But you can do it. None of us froze to death. None of us overheated. We didn't get wet. Just pull a tarp over you and you're fine. At one point I remember we had like a big canvas tarp on the ground, and we had another one that we pulled over us. And there were like 5 or 6 of us just all lined up on the ground sleeping on this tarp. And the raccoons were nuts in this state park because so many people fed them. But I woke up with one sitting on top of my chest eating some candy that it stole out of some kid's tent. It was pretty funny. I like a truck cap, and when I first started taking out my four-wheeler and we'd want to spend the night, I didn't have a big enclosed trailer that I could sleep in, so I slept in the back of my truck. And so I was out looking for a truck cap. I bought an ARE cap, really nice one, fiberglass toolboxes, LED lights, carpet kit. It's about $3,000. Works really well. You could get them for a lot cheaper, but man, I started looking at these AT caps that I liked in the beginning, and for their bottom of the barrel, just a truck cap is $5,500. You know, I was looking around on the Walmart website, because Walmart for the win, and man, you can buy a little tent, $29.97, $30. You can buy a tent before you knock it. 4.3 stars, bestseller, 50 plus sold since yesterday. Something to think about. There seem to be a lot of people that are making it work. So how about chairs? You gotta have something to sit down and take a load off in, and when I was much heavier, not just any chair will cut it, but now that I would say I'm more a part of the general population, weight-wise anyways, there's a lot more options. So I used to have these big, they call them Sportsman XL that Cabela's sell. If you are a larger person, those are sweet. But I started looking around for a new chair, right? New me, new chair. And I looked at these Choma, I think they were called. They're kind of cool canvas chair with a wood frame. I thought they were really cool. It's the Chama Vaquero chair, $215. I settled out for $9.99 on Amazon. Man, you could buy 20 of them for what one of those Chomas cost. That was the decision I made. Maybe I'll change my mind down the road, but for now, the Walmart chair is still kicking. Sorry, Amazon. Same difference. Alright, so I think you guys get the point. You know, I added this stuff up, and while it's totally awesome, and maybe it's for you, that's almost $20,000, and that doesn't even include a vehicle. You could buy a vehicle for $20,000. You want to really save some money? Go backpacking. And that's not free either. You could certainly get in trouble, but you don't necessarily need a vehicle. I guess we all need a vehicle, so I just say I use the vehicle that I would have anyways. It makes sense for me. So tell me in the comments below, if I handed you $20,000 and said, you gotta buy a camping setup. If you stay under, you can keep the change. What would you do with the difference? How about 2 years of junior college for one of your kids? Or for yourself? Then you can go make the money and buy anything you want after that. So I know, I can see it in the comments now. Easy for the guy that's got all this cool stuff. And I have a lot of cool tools, and I keep them all in this really cool, awesome big shop. But it wasn't always like that. And when I was on a more modest budget, especially when I was a younger man, I certainly didn't stay home because I couldn't afford it. And you shouldn't either. See you out on the trail.